Hunted by the newly reborn assessor, Miles will have no choice but to join forces with his most hated foe, Raneem the Rabble. But will even that be enough to save his skin? Well, let's hop into the pages of Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 41 and find out together, shall we? So then, this newest issue wastes absolutely no time getting started. We check back on in with Miles and Raneem after just narrowly managing to escape the wrath of the assessor at the end of the previous issue. As you might have guessed, Spider-Man is royally pissed that the Rabble sought to rebuild and arm a Lovecraftian horror like the Assessor, one of the most evil villains that he's ever fought. Raneem is prideful as ever, refusing to admit that maybe she was messing with forces outside of her control, only saying that she hated Miles so much she wanted to see him dissected and taken apart. In the same way she feels her own life has fallen apart ever since she lost that school lottery all those years ago. Again, Miles is very resolute in saying, "I did nothing wrong to you. It was probability that screwed you over." The two start to square up to each other, and in a fun little aside, we learn that even with Raneem's amazing power to interface with machines, she can't actually take control of Miles' vibranium suit. It would seem that the Wakandan technological language is just far too advanced even for someone like her. And hey, speaking of advancements, how will our unlikely allies ever hope to take down the new and improved Assessor? It's not going to be easy. Before, his consciousness was stored on vulnerable servers that can be attacked. Now his consciousness exists inside a state-of-the-art ring that can create a hard light construct around it. Assessor is happy with these changes, but at the same time, he hungers for more power, something more permanent, something more everlasting. Something like, oh, I don't know, a state-of-the-art vibranium suit that he can upload his consciousness into? And you better believe he's gonna stop at nothing to win this prize, even if it means creating his own legion of besuited Assessor drones, which honestly give me a real Agent Smith from the Matrix vibe. Now, if Miles and Raneem are going to join forces to battle the Assessor and save their lives, that means the Rabble is going to have to suit up again. Thankfully, Spider-Man and the Rabble just so happened to take cover in Raneem's family's old shop that was so central to her origin story. The new suit is actually a little bit slicker, a little bit more streamlined, and a little less busy. I like it. And hey, speaking of suits, Miles mentions during this that his own costume probably should have repaired itself right now, but for whatever reason, when the Assessor touched it, he passed on some sort of digital corruption which is stopping Miles' vibranium spider suit from self-healing like it normally does. Which is obviously no good, considering that Spider-Man is going to need absolutely every edge in his arsenal if he's going to stand a chance against the Assessor and his army. Miles and Raneem can't even make a game plan either, as at that very moment they end up coming under attack by the drone fleet. Rabble is absolutely horrified to have to do this much destruction to technology, especially considering that in a short amount of time the Assessor has managed to completely co-opt and corrupt the very nature of her drone tech. That's not to say Raneem doesn't have a couple new tricks up her sleeve. In fact, this suit comes packing her own version of the Venom Blast, a fact of which gets Miles a little steamed at just the blatant copyright infringement. But also kind of a nice little metaphor about how the longer the Rabble hangs out with Spider-Man, the more like him she actually becomes without even trying. The Assessor's assault is absolutely brutal, dividing and conquering Spider-Man and the Rabble as to crush them individually. Again, hats off to the art team on this one. I love the way the Assessor fights, creating a bunch of different limbs, as well as moving and attacking in a very inhuman kind of way. And if that wasn't bad enough to really rub some salt into the wound, Assessor also takes the opportunity to change the form of his drones to resemble Raneem's Alzheimer's-ridden father. Now that's all pretty bad, but not far away, Miles is getting it just as bad, if not worse. The Assessor attempts to tendril inside the young Spider-Man suit, and when Miles is able to fight him off for just a little bit longer, he then decides that the next best course of action is just to beat him to death and claim the suit from his corpse. Miles even ends up passing out during this battle and waking up completely immobilized. It's right here at his absolute lowest when it seems like all hope is lost. Miles has no choice but to try and ask for help from his friend in a very high place. Yes, that's right, Spider-Man has opted to cash in his goodwill with the spider trickster god Anansi. And how does this repay debt look? Well, it looks like a Deus Ex Machina, aka a hand of God in the most literal sense. You see, Anansi opts to teleport Peter Parker Spider-Man Spider-Man all the way from his own book over here. Keep in mind, in the main Amazing Spider-Man book right now, Peter is living in space, where he's also adopted a brand new Technarchy suit. Needless to say, it's a whole thing and an explanation that's going to have to wait, but as the comic comes to a close, the Assessor ends up coming face to face with the united front of not one, but two Spider-Man. And oh man, what a cool image to go out on as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 41, everybody, and I gotta say this one was another real winner from Cody Ziegler and company. I'm really happy to see them not rushing the Rabble's redemption arc. Her and Spider-Man still have a lot they're going to have to work through, a lot of bad blood, a lot of demons to excise. Even when both their lives are actively being threatened, the Assessor continues to be a really threatening and really compelling villain. One who actually ends up doing a really solid job challenging not only Miles, but Raneem too in fascinating ways. Then of course you got the big Peter Parker cameo right at the end of the book, which honestly took me by surprise. It's been so long since Miles interacted with Peter in his own book, I never actually thought it was gonna happen again. But damn it if absence doesn't make the heart grow fonder, and Spider-Man showing up to back up Spider-Man the way he did was just a fist-pumpingly good moment. Hell, I even love that this is Peter in his weird space suit, which really will end up dating the book to the time that this story takes place in, which is fine by me. Overall, I think I feel comfortable giving this one a very positive 9 out of 10. Cody Ziegler has been putting in some really solid work this year on Miles Morales, and it looks like we're going to end 2025 with what might possibly end up being some of his finest work yet.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me and the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.